Nigerian political trajectory, and of course, looking at its antecedents, have grown to a very appreciable and envious moment in terms of what and how it's viewed on the continent of Africa. But the Nigerian political parties, in its own different facet, have come to a point where you cannot tentatively deduce whether or not these political parties have distinctions or contrasts when it comes to party ideology. How far, so far, of the governance and government of Nigerian government, rather, that is led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, faring all this while? Hello, dear. Thank you so very much for joining us on Political Affairs on Karma TV. My name is Chris Jacobs, and I've been joined by Anas Bala. He is an APC stalwart that is based here in Yola, and he joins me now to further the conversation. Anas, it's a pleasure to have you on Political Affairs.
Thank you, Chris, and it's a pleasure to be on board once again.
Yes, indeed. You're one person, that Adama citizens or indigenes can point finger at to say you never relent, you never throw the towel when it comes to political matters in the country.
Exactly.
Now, talk to me. How would you describe the Tinubu-led administration in terms of the current economic situation, whether or not the lives of Nigeria are becoming better by the day?
Well, I think, Chris, it's a whole lot of issues. And I think speaking from a school of phenomenon, one has to really relate, a lot of antics into this. There have been several, a kind of approach by the government ever since, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office. Some of which have to do with the critical reforms, that the president has repeatedly spoke to Nigerians about, that these are necessary, although they are difficult.
Yeah.
And and then he also asked Nigerians, to be patient in bearing the brunt of some of the hardship of these policies. And one of which so critical is the reform in the Nigerian oil and gas industry, which has to do with the subsidy. And that has caused a lot of impact on the economic tide, which today we have to averagely look at the living conditions of all Nigerians, which is no longer smiling. So the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have been a kind of both pros and cons in terms of either it has impacted well or negative. I think it's something that one has to make a critical look into it. But all I can say is that the president has still has a little bit time, which is 2 years, and let's see if certainly some of these reforms will start yielding fruit, because at the moment now Nigerians are paying the price of some of these reforms, and the reforms are undergoing, but we are yet to see the fruitful impact of that.
All right. Now, what do you make also of social safety net? Talking about social register of Nigeria, of Nigerians, rather. This is not the first time we've seen this happen. It happened even during the former president Ebele Jonathan. During the PDP regime. It also happened during former President Muhammadu Buhari, and yet you cannot completely say the federal government social register had been 100% impactful and positive. Some say it's circumvented to some persons who do not even need it. At point, they say it's for the poorest of the poor. And the more the social intervention is being given by the federal government, the more we see Nigerians, trickling down to another poverty poverty ladder at the point where they say Nigeria became the capital of poverty in the world. So what do you make of that?
Well, I think sometimes, government actors, especially I'm talking about administrators in respect of these institutions, be it a minister or head of agencies, having lack of clarity of policy focus, and even in terms of giving out concrete information, also impacted on some of these things. I do want to believe, because just like any other Nigerian would say, we are yet to get a clear information of how we have seen a transgression of the social register from Buhari's era to Tinubu's era. And then, someone, because of that unclarity in the information, it is difficult for one to make a good assessment if that has impacted, or that has achieved the yearning results or not. Because at the moment now, we had a new minister. We have a new minister, in the Ministry of Humanitarian and Poverty Affairs, who has also informed Nigerians that President Bola Tinubu has given some approval, to some certain kind of, grants or cash that will be given to Nigerians, which is 75,000 naira. But then again, I've seen, a kind of issues that are coming in, as a result of that announcement, which I think is one of the things that makes Nigerians to doubt some of this progress. Issues like sending people again to banks to start capturing their data, because from the time of the assumption of President Bola Tinubu into office, we were told that Beta Edu had to submit a proposal to the presidency, which, in some point within the controversial issues that led to her outing in that ministry, we've seen some kind of leaked memo or document that she has been given approval to update the social register.
All right. What do you make of the social register of Nigeria? Because we have seen where it seems the federal government hasn't really gotten it right. Even during the regime of former President Jonathan, we had what is known as end power and so on, and yet it was circumvented in such a way that it didn't really trickle down to those who are in dear need of it. And it also transgressed to Buhari's regime and now Tinubu's regime. But some will say, since you have BVN or your NIN, you don't need to stress Nigerians unnecessarily. Nigerians can still get the benefit of this.
Well, just, it's a clear point, just like I said. The issue here is that lack of policy consistency and clear policy direction by the administration, either the minister or head of any agencies, who are responsible for all of this, is one of the major problems that we have. Because the clarity here is that we're not able to get it from the fact, how this data transgress from Buhari's era to Tinubu's era. If Nigerians were able to know, how the management of this data, and should in case if there's any promotion or improvement on the data, how that is being done. It's one of the things that cause some of these jitters, because, at the moment now we have a new minister who have been assigned to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs after the ousting of, Beta Edu in that ministry. And what we seems to have is that we have a new minister who come on board and make an announcement that the president has made an approval, of 75,000 naira grants to Nigerians. And then again, you still see people going up to queue up, in front of banks, either for data capture or whatever. I think there's a problem in the way administrations of that particular, sector try to manage data, because data is very important in all of these things. We cannot be having, going back and front. You can remember that, in the controversial, issues surrounding Beta's outing, we saw a leaked memo, or document that Beta seeks for the, update of the social register book, which some approval have been given to her with some resources to be able to do that. And we saw Beta traveling around, moving from Sokoto, Zamfara, and all of these places. What happens to those data? So we should be able to, provide clarity to Nigerians and make sure that if there is anything Minister A has started, if there is any change in that minister, Minister B will surely be able to maintain a steadfastness in that. But, just like I said, what Nigerians are after is that, we want to see the improvement. We want to see some of the fruit, some of the impact of President Bola Tinubu's reform. At the moment, Nigerians are patient and are paying the prices of that, and which is too difficult. In fact, it is even becoming unbearable to citizens. But then again, we still, hold the president by his own words that these reforms are actually going to make us more greater than we are.
Yeah, but I know that Nigerians are said to have these very strong shock absorbers, to the extent that people, have these coinage from Fela's songs of Renan Smiling, because Nigerians are used to that. But looking at the policy of President Bola Tinubu, from one policy that is overbearing to Nigerians to another policy that is coming again and is still overbearing. For instance, the fuel subsidy removal was the fulcrum upon which, these sufferings by Nigeria just started taking place. And now we also see tariff hike in electricity, not just electricity, but of course, even telecommunications are hiking their tariff now. So it's like from one burden, to another. And there is a level of elasticity one can get to that he will no longer bear it as a human.
I think all of us in Nigeria goes to the same market,
Mm-hmm.
and I think all of us in Nigeria feel the impact of some of this. And I think my own advice is directly and straight to the presidential economic, advisory team, that we should be able to think out with some of these things. At the moment, just like you said, Nigerians are trying to catch up, with the impact and the hardship of the fuel subsidy withdrawal. And anything that will affect, electricity in terms of, cost of electricity and what has to do with the telecommunication sector will actually add up to that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes again, government, like I said, is not taking all round opportunities that it has in terms of engaging Nigerians in some of these things. I think one of the main, focus of the presidential advisory, economic advisory team now is to engage Nigerians in all of these things, because Nigerians are having a different opinion. Nigerians are having a different perception on what the president actually wants to do in the country. At the moment, we're battling with how to survive, in terms of, ordinary Nigerians, how to get food on the table because of the impact of subsidy withdrawal. And anything again that will affect electricity, like you said, affect telecom, is going to pile up to that. I feel the pulse of Nigerians, and I feel, the cry of Nigerians. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be able to summon the economic advisory team so that they will sit and guide him proper. And should, in case, if there is a need for this, I think we should have a better timing for it.
Do you think there is a disconnect, between the government and the governed in Nigeria?
It could be very possible, because from the perception out there, from the thinking of Nigerians out there, from where Nigerians assumed some of the reforms of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it will tell one that, look, there is form of disconnection between the citizens and the government. The government need to take all round opportunities, like I said, to engage Nigerians and inform Nigerians on whatever policy or reforms they want to embark on, so that Nigerians will have a buy-in to that. You cannot be able to rule a country like Nigeria, to govern a country like Nigeria I do not say in isolation, but in under and misinformation or under information processes. We need to be fully informed that yes, the president means well in the electricity tariff hike that is about to take place. The president means well in the recent, telecom tariff adjustment that also had piled up to our own, woes are currently at the moment. We also want to know the progress that have been recorded with regards to the subsidy withdrawal, because look, Nigerians are very sensitive, and very soon they will start asking questions, because politics is around the corner. How much more were you been able to save, or were you been able to achieve in your reform of subsidy withdrawal? And how much impact has that caused to the general economy? Because if the subsidy money is no longer being paid, to the petroleum, in the petroleum market, for the marketers to have a cost of the landing difference and all of that, the money should have been channeled into other areas, which I think will affect the lives of ordinary.
Interesting indeed. I would like you to catch your breath, but also ponder on this, so that when we return from this break, we'll still go further. Some times ago, there was a protest in this country, with the tag, hashtag end bad governance. And unfortunately, it led to the arrest of certain persons. Now, would you say that the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu made a huge mistake, or it was on the right path, clamping down on protesters to the extent some persons were incarcerated, while some who were also incarcerated were underage, and that did attract a lot of condemnation, not just in Nigeria, but by international.
Well, as a Democrat, let me first of all say that.
No, you just catch your breath on that. We'll come and talk some more after this short time out. All right, you're watching Political Affairs on Camera TV. We'll take a short break. There'll be more after this time out. Join us again. to know you're still there, but if you have just joined us, you're watching Political Affairs on Kama TV, and of course, I've been speaking with Honorable Anas Bala. He is an APC stalwart that is based here in Yola. Now, before the break, I brought an issue that has to do with protest in Nigeria. You know, during former President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, there was a protest hashtag and SAS, and the recent one hashtag and bad governance. But unfortunately, it's like the Tinubu-led administration couldn't handle the protests and protesters the way it should, according to diplomacy, the way it is obtainable all over the world. It led to the arrest of some persons, while some who were also arrested were underage, and it attracted condemnation not just in Nigeria, but of course the international community. What image has that painted on this administration?
Well, as a Democrat, let me first of all say that making any attempt to detain or arrest, lawful or legitimate protesters, it is condemnable, and that shouldn't be given any place in our democratic processes. People must have right to express their views, to show their grievances with regards to government policies in a very legitimate manner. Anybody who try to truncate that particular right and privileges that people have in a democracy should be condemnable. And then again, I want us to believe that just like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have kept on saying that he is also a product of this protest.
Oh, sure.
He is also a Democrat.
So he should allow people to protest.
I want us to believe and take it from the president. But then again, we must also be very cautious with some of these things. There's a legal provisions or constitutional provisions on how people embark on protest. And I want people, whenever we want to go out there for protest to follow these particular laid down processes. Number one. Number two is that we must also factor in our security agencies, because some of these things could not be a direct, authority of the president. Could be part of, the challenges that our security people have with regards to understanding, the democratic terrain we are operating. We must take the calls to them. We must have engagement with our security agencies on how, because any attempt, to subdue or to discourage people from protesting in the democratic norms is zero. Nobody should accept that. We are all Democrats. So we should take the call and advocacy to our security agencies. There is a limit, to how they involve with respect to when citizens are playing or are exhibiting their own constitutional right in a legitimate manner. The recent arrest and taken to court of minors, which I saw, it is condemnable, and it is something that has tell us that we have a long way to go in our democratic processes. But like I have said, if politicians will have their own blame, we should also take an advocacy to our security agencies so that they will know their involvement and they will know the rights and privileges that citizens have in respect to something that has to do with protest.
Interesting. All right, let's talk to security matters now. Of course, for the past few years, the northwestern part of Nigeria has come under siege. Activities of terrorists, bandits, and banditry, and now the new one known as Lakurawa. But we have seen, how the military is taking the fight, to the enclaves of these criminals. How will you describe President Tinubu's effort and determination to see that he bring an end to these unscrupulous activities by these terrorists?
Well, I would like to say that one of our own son here, who has navigated his competency in that field excellently well, have done a marvelous job in terms of, degrading some of these unscrupulous elements who are bent to destroying this country. And this is no other person than, Malam Nouri Badu, the National Security Advisor. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's security architecture, I think, is being operated through his office. And, for quite some time now, I've seen significant successes recorded, either in the social media or in the mainstream media, which the military headquarters sometimes do come out to give press release. Yeah. We've seen how they were able to neutralize some of these serious and highly profiled bandits and criminals. Yes, of course, there is an emergence of another terrorist group, which is very, very disturbing, and that is the Lakurawa group. And I have seen the consistency in the Nigerian military and other security operative statements that, look, they are up to the task and they're going to flush them out. And we believe that they will do, because security is old man business.
Oh, sure.
And I think all of us, be it you're from NNPP or PDP, we want to see this government achieve security 100% because that is the stability, that is the development that Nigerians are looking for. In fact, you could remember when we had our elections in 2015, when we had the Boko Haram capturing many places and all that. It gives us a serious nerves on our necks. We couldn't sleep, the way we used to, because we were doubting if elections are going to take place in those areas. And if elections will not take place in these areas, then it creates a loophole in the constitutional provisions of how election management have been done. So we want to see this government achieved security and defeat these unscrupulous elements who are bending the straw in this nation.
Indeed. But we've also seen where political parties, particularly those who are in the opposition, will claim to take advantage of the loopholes of this rising case of insecurity. And I tell you, vote my party, we will end insecurity. Now, has insecurity in Nigeria become a cash cow, where on the one side, a cash cow where some persons make money out of it? On the other hand, it becomes a campaign tool for other political parties.
Well, I think we cannot separate politicians from looking at your own shortfalls in government, especially opposition parties. These are some of the things that even when you meet a campaign managers, those who understand the process of building mobilizations and all that, identifying issues and problems, with respect to the community, that is the state, and getting people incorporate that into your own campaign strategy and getting people steadfast on that, on your solution-based approach and all that is one of the things that politicians do. So we cannot separate politicians. I do also want, those of us who are with the APC and those of us who are in government to understand that those who are in opposition are not just doing that because they have interest in it. No, they are doing that because that is the nature of politics. They look at our shortfalls either in economic policy, security angle, educational angle. They hint on that. This is where they market themselves to, and then create awareness on people, and then showcase whatever capacity they have if given opportunity. And I want to say that, look, to be candid with you, there are issues of conspiracy in the way security issues have been handled in this country, and one cannot tell because several reports are out there. Those who have went into research and see that they dig up what are the matters there. Some people have said that it is internal, some people have said that it is external, but then again we all believe that there is conspiracy that is taking place with respect to our efforts in defeating security issues in this country, especially that of insurgency, banditry and kidnapping.
Interesting. Now, in the next few years from now, Nigeria will go into the poll, talking about 2027 general elections. And we have seen where certain political parties have started, putting their house in order. But that's not to say without internal rancor, whether in the ruling All Progressive Congress or the PDP or NNPP or even the Labour Party, that came as a third force. Yet we have seen a kind of an internal wrangling. But would you say, or how would you describe opposition in Nigeria? But looking at the national, the broadened view of our political atmosphere, would you say, the opposition?
Look, currently I'm one of those who is worried by the state of our opposition parties.
Yeah.
Opposition parties in this country have run or are currently into trouble more than the ruling party. The history of our political trajectory in this country is that mostly the ruling party are the one being engulfed or encapsulated or being chopped up by internal wranglings because, look, they have government and everybody need that, recognition. And for those who have interest, to contest election, will look at the ruling party as one of the good platforms because it has the grassroots.
Yeah.
But then again, this time around things are changing. And all of us who are in this game are worried. Opposition parties who are meant to play their role in keeping government, steadfast, in keeping government, in step, in keeping government checked, in keeping government accountable, are now the one being engulfed and chopped up by internal wranglings. Look at the PDP, for instance. I look at the Labour Party also too. That of NNPP is the one that have not received a lot of media attention, but there are issues there because Rabi Musa Konkoso, who we knew that is one of the frontliners who brought up this party, have been there've been news that he was suspended here, he was brought back here. National Working Committee considered that and all that. So all of the opposition parties are currently in a serious situation that needs to be salvaged. So what is happening? Do you expect to see, because we've had it that the opposition parties would have come up with a strong voice now. Either they speak collectively on issues or they speak individually, but which will address a specific issues to keep the government instead. But the situation is different. You know, I have seen individuals like the former vice president, our leader here, the Waziri of Adama, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, have been speaking in his own capacity. I've seen, Peter Obi have been speaking, but the angle of the political parties, there's nothing to show for it.
So some are saying the only way to silence this internal wrangling is to create or to form a merger, because that's the only way they can oust the ruling, APC, talking about Bola Tinubu's government. Do you think, no matter how formidable these parties can be, there might be possibility and tendencies,
I think I wouldn't want to speak like some of the way other APC people want to speak. I would just want to speak to facts, and I want to speak, with all sense of, truthness to Nigerians. Look, whoever told you that political parties coming together to form a coalition and confront APC will not yield result is lying. APC today is the beneficiary of coalition, and we know how strength is when people come together. So there is a significant issue that will confront my own political party if these political parties will come together. Surely their strength is going to be more. There's going to be more adversaries, and their strength is going to be more than what we used to see now. When I know that the old Progressive Congress, my own political party, is watching at things, and probably they will come up with a different strategy if these political parties decided to march. But whoever says that if these political parties come together to confront APC in 2027 is not going to yield results, I don't think he's saying the truth. But we can re-strategize, and overcome that.
There are some accusations coming from some quarters, that your party, the APC, might be behind these internal wrangling, so that these political parties, particularly the PDP, wouldn't be formidable and create a strong fortress. That is on the one side. And on the other hand, again, there is also an accusation that your party, the APC, is frustrating the possible talks of merger, where these conglomerations of these political parties coming together, because they know the power of, formidability, they know the power of merger, just like what happened in 2014 that hosted former President, Ebele Jonathan in 2015. Now, we're going to take a short break for the last lap of this conversation, which will collapse into Adama and Amadou Umaru Fintiri's governance and how it has taught the lives of people in Adamawa State. And I hope you will ponder on this, and they will come after this short timer. All right, you're watching Political Affairs on Kama TV. Let's take a short break. We'll be back. Join us again.
We have 5 minutes.
All right, 5 minutes. You're welcome back. In case you just tune in, you're watching Political Affairs on Kama TV. And of course, I've been speaking with Anas Bala. He is an APC stalwart. Interesting conversation, you might say. All right. Now, Governor Amadou Umaru Fintiri indeed has been in the news, in recent times for obvious reasons. Just in a nutshell, talk to me about what you make of his policies, whether it is infrastructure, development, economic-wise, just political strides in Adamawa State.
Well, let me speak first as a citizen of Adamawa State,
That's
as
right.
an indigenous of Adamawa State. You see, we all do politics for the sake of development.
That's correct.
And I think what gives us the impression, what gives us the appetite to be in this game is because we want to see, our states is developing in a faster way. We want to see that Adamawa State, if, by chance, we overtake, places like Lagos, Port Harcourt and all that, in terms of having, the needed development, the expansible development in economics, either in infrastructure or in industrializations and what have you. Let me give a benefit of this, that the administration of, His Excellency Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri have done tremendously well in some areas. Like I said, if, eventually we're able to, because, I have seen quite a number of individuals, fantastic number of individuals who are vying for governorship seat in Adamawa State. This is the first time I'm seeing, notable professional and intellectual people coming up to say that they want to take over from where Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintri would stop. And I believe that, if 2027 comes, it will be the decider. Those areas that the government of Ahmadu Umaru Fintri were not able to fix up, when we pick up, then we'll make sure that we do.
All right, finally, because we have limited time, recently there is this creation of, chiefdom and emirates, and of course that culminated to having more traditional institutions in Adamawa State. Experts say it is another way of bringing government closer to the people, and it aids, security beef up, because back then, a stranger cannot come to the community until he or she is taken to either the Miangwa and by extension, the leader of that community. So what do you make of, the introduction or the creation of these chiefdoms and, of course, emirates?
Well, let me be very explicit on this. I think I will take you on this for the next time, because I've been in the middle of several things with the creation of the chiefdom. But then again, happily to say that whatever will create happiness to the people of Adamawa State, whatever will make us more united, whatever will give us, the breathing space that we think we need, I am in support of that. But anything with regards to our traditional institution, I have my reservation on that. And I'll take you on that sometimes.
All right. There is no better way to end this conversation than now. Anas Bala, APC Stalwart, thank you so very much for finding time to come out of your tight schedule to be on this very platform. I hope our doors, when open, you will walk in next time. Okay.
Much available.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. That is our conversation for today. And thank you so very much for being with us from start to finish. Join us again, same time, same station, as we come with a fresh edition of the program. Until then, stay safe. My name is Chris Jacobs. God bless Nigeria.